Assalamu alaikum. This is Shakeel Ayaz Sumro from English 2K19, having roll number 33. And today I would present my semester video presentation over here. My subject is functional English, and our concerned teacher is Madam Rizwana Jhatyal. So basically, I have chosen four topics for my semester video presentation, and the first topic of mine is letter. So in this topic we would learn that what is letter and why should a letter be written, and also we will learn the objectives of letter to know the purpose or the reason of letter. So starting with the letter, a letter is a written or printed communication directed to a person or an organization. That means a letter is a written and a printed source of communication to a person to or any organization. And there are many formats of letters. The first is the email or electronic transmission, including the fax miles. Second is hard delivered transmission, and the third is regular and mail transmission. That means you can use email or electronic transmission like fax, and you can send your letter. That means it is a subtype of letters. And the hard, as you know, the hard copy which is to be written. And also third, the regular transaction, that means messages in your mobiles, texts in your mobiles, and also emails in your mobiles. And there is a reason that when should a letter to be written. There are some reasons behind it. The first is that to thank someone who has been gracious, kind, or helpful to you. And second is that you need assistance or answers to help make intelligent decisions. That means if you want to help, that you can write a letter and get some help from another person. To respond to a letter request that you have recently received, do not wait too long. To create a legal document that record the information and support claims, to show that you are courteous, professional, detailed oriented person who is aware of etiquette. Also, a writer writing away can always fix himself up to make himself more presentable, but a man who has written a letter is stuck with for it all time. So, therefore, letters should be thankful, as they may become a permanent record of what you know, think, or feel at the time you are writing the letter. Letters have come back to haunt many people. Letters reflect the character and communication skills of the writer, and there are some conditions of writing a letter, and the conditions are: the letter to which you need to want respond. Read a written announcement of an article motivating or requesting a letter response. Second is that examine the tone, language of the letter, announcement, or other printed material to which you will respond. The tone or the motivating piece helps you determine the tone of your written response, formal or informal letter. And the third is identity, your audience and the purpose, in order to determine the type of letter you will write from an informal. And the fourth is think about when your response. And there is a point of view which exists in letter. So let's define the point of view. That what is point of view? The use of personal pronouns is important in the letters. For example, I, he, she, it, we, they, and you. These are the personal pronouns, and these are very important to use in the letters. In a letter, do not refer to yourself in the third person by using one or the writer. That means there is a rule that a writer should not write the third person with his name or other's name, but he have to use some personal pronouns. And the third rule is that it is perfectly natural and appreciate to refer to yourself and to the reader as you. That means letter should be perfect that a reader can understand and you also can send a message clearly. And there is a format of active and passive verses in letter. For example, a passive verse, it was discovered that the salary totals were incorrect. Who discovered it? The problem, the unpaid employed, the parallel specialist, the accounting department, and in turn the IRS. Be specific. So this was the example, and there are some categories of letter. The first is business letters and second is personal letters. Format writing, more formal writing that may share elements of essay writing. There is a personal letter. A personal letter, often informal, may be addressed to a friend or familiar acquaintance about a personal subject, may regard a personal problem, issue, or even a personal business matter, penetrating to one's personal influence for personal and legal matters. And there are other types of letter. And our second topic is summary. That what is summary? A summary is a shorthand passage which retains the essential information of the originals. It is a fairly brief restatement in your own words of the contents of a passage. Note, you simply report back what your writer has said without making value judgment. This means this summary is the report back of the writer's words without any judgment. And there are some objectives of summary. The first is that give an appropriate definition for a summary, know the characteristics of a good summary, learn the techniques in summary writing, learn the steps in the summary writing. The first characteristic of summary is summary can be understood without reference to the original. It is faithful reproduction of contains only the idea of information of the original. It is a brief without any unnecessary detail, and summary is a readable undefined as whole. There are some techniques in summary. So first is that paraphrasing. To paraphrase means to completely and correctly express the people's ideas in one's own words. For examples, you have cooked us all a hot potato, a tremendous person or issue. Prevention is better than cure. It is better to prevent something unpleasant from happening than try to put it original. The importance of paraphrasing. The importance of paraphrasing. Paraphrasing helps us to understand the original better. It helps us to grasp the central idea and the main points. It helps us to write summarize that are brief and the point that are brief to the point and in our own words. Formulate thesis statement. Weave the one sentence section summaries together. Write the first draft in the first sentence or two, the author's name, the article's name, the article's chapter's name, the author's thesis statement, then summary sentence for each paragraph or section. Express in your own words to avoid the plagiarism. Essential supporting ideas of necessary, eliminate unnecessary words and requisitions, eliminate personal ideas and interference, use transmission for the smooth and the logical flow of ideas, conclude with a summing up sentence. And our third topic is models and the modal verbs. A modal verb is a type of verb that is used to indicate the modality, that is likelihood, ability, permission, request, capacity, suggestion, order, obligation, or advice. The modal verbs are always accompany the base and the infinitive form of another verb having semantic content. In English, the modal verbs commonly used are can, may, might, must, will, would, shall, should, ought, to had better, and to have something, need, and to dare. In English and other Germanic languages, modal verbs are often distinguished as a clause based on certain grammatical properties. That means with English, also Germanic languages are using these modal verbs in their language, and this modal verb creates a flow of language in any sentence. That this verb shows the many situations and responsibilities and feelings that are based only upon that modal verbs. The first is that ability. We can show ability while using modal verbs. And permission, for permission we would use modals, and there is in the line request, capacity, suggestion, order, obligation, or advice. That means modal verbs are accompany based and infinitive forms of transmitted language. And we have mentioned a table. Also, we have mentioned a table of modal verbs. That modal verbs are used how, when, and why, and what is the procedure to use the modal verbs, and how sentences look while using the modal verbs. So, in that graph, we have set some positions. The first is that ability. For ability, we will use can and could, and we have some examples upon it. So, that David can speak 3 languages. That means David have ability that he can use 3 languages and speak 3 languages. And second is that he could speak the fluent French when he was 5 years old. That means a pronoun is used, no name is mentioned, but he is able to speak French while he was 5 years old. And there is another thing, that permission. For permission, we will use can, could, and may. And there are some examples, that can I sit in that chair please. That means he is asking for the permission, that can I sit in this chair. A second example is that could I open the window, and also he is asking the permission, that could I open the window. And also, may I borrow your dictionary. Also in third sentence, it is showing the permission, that may I borrow your dictionary, or can I use your dictionary. And the third is advice. For advice, we use a verb that is should. So you should visit your dentist at least twice a year. That means you have to visit a dentist twice a year for your health. He is now giving advice. And other is you should try to lose your weight. Also, he is giving advice for his health, that he is saying that please try to lose your weight. And the fourth one is that obligation. For obligation, we use the must and have to. The modal verbs we use, the first is that must, and the second is have to we use. I must memorize all of these rules about the tenses. That means I must memorize all of the rules about the tenses. That I have to memorize the rules. That means I have to memorize some rules. You have to take off your shoes before you get into the mosque. That means obligation is that you have to take off your shoes before entering in the mosque. And the last and the fifth is possibility. For possibility we will use might and could and can. It will look nice but it might be very expensive. It looks nice but it might be very expensive. That means he is showing that this thing is very good and looking, but it could be expensive because it is looking classy. And the second is that Richard may be coming to the see us tomorrow. That Richard can come tomorrow to see us. That means it is showing the possibility of Richard, that Richard can come tomorrow. So this was our modal verbs transformation. And my fourth topic is the traffic light nightmare, the summary and the exercise. So basically, the traffic light nightmare was a story of a city located on the beach. So there was a road which is the mainstream of this story. That road was a single, and the residents who tried to live at the beach, they used to walk through the road because that was a metropolitan city and burden of traffic extended day by day. So that's why town committee of that city decided to make double road, and the road was made doubled. The traffic was going on, and also the residents were facing very trouble. They were listening some horns sounds, and also accidents. Their old men cannot sleep well at their homes, and their children cannot go at the time schools, and also the office holders even cannot go to their offices. So there was no any zebra crossing, also there was no any traffic signal because that was a main road and a two-way road. So that's why people think and started and went to the uh, and went to the government office, and they said that we are facing some problems and we have some difficulties, and they said to the town committee to please settle our problem and to please make us relax. So town committee addressed them well, and town committee said that they will dismiss your difficulty and solve your problem. They will arrange some traffic lights on the road, and they also will have a zebra crossing on the road that you, your children and your older people can easily walk to the road. So this was the main theme and the purpose of this summary.